Question 16. ABCD is a kite. We're told the length AB is 4x minus 2 centimeters. We're told Jasper says that x could be 0.5. Explain why Jasper cannot be correct. Well, if Jasper thinks that x equals 0.5, then substituting into the length AB, well, 4x in algebra means 4 multiplied by x. And in this case, x equals 0.5. Therefore, I'm going to have 4 multiplied by 0.5. And I've still got the negative 2. Well, 4 times 0.5 will give us 2. And 2 subtract 2 gives us 0. So Jasper can't be correct because AB is a length and the length cannot equal to 0. AD equals 3AB. Therefore, AD is 3 lots, so 3 multiplied by the length of AB. And AB we know is, in single brackets, 4x minus 2. Expanding my single bracket, whatever's outside, I'm going to multiply by each term directly inside. Well, 3 times 4x will give us 12x, and 3 times negative 2 gives us negative 6. So the length AD in algebra is 12x minus 6. We're told the kite has a perimeter of 64 centimeters, and we're asked to find the value of x. As it's a kite, therefore we know its 2 pairs of adjacent sides are equal. Therefore, if AB is 4x minus 2, then the length BC is also going to be 4x minus 2. If the length AD is 12x minus 6, then the length of DC is also going to be 12x minus 6. We know perimeter means the total distance around the outside of our two-dimensional shape. Therefore, adding up the 4 sides in any order, I'm going to have 12x minus 6 plus 4x minus 2 plus 4x minus 2 plus 12x minus 6. And we're told in this case the perimeter is equal to 64. So I can put my equation equal to 64. Collecting like terms, well, like terms have the same combination of letters. Collecting our x terms, here I have 12x, add 4x, which will give us 16 lots of x, plus another 4x, which will give us 20 lots of x, plus another 12 lots of x, which will give us 32 lots of x. They're all like terms, as they all end in single x. Collecting my number terms, in this case, I have negative 6, subtract another 2, that will give us negative 8. Subtract another 2, that will bring us down to negative 10. Subtract another 6, which will bring us down to negative 16. And we're told the perimeter is equal to 64. So my equation is still equal to 64. As I'm solving, I want to find the value of x. Therefore, my first step is I want to eliminate the negative 16 by bringing it to the other side, by doing the opposite. So bring the negative 16 to the right, opposite of negative 16. Therefore, is to add 16 to both sides of my equation. On the left-hand side, negative 16 adds 16 will cancel. So leave us simply with 32 lots of x. And on the right-hand side, I know 64 add 16 gives us 80. I don't want 32x, I want to find the value of x. I know the opposite of multiply, a number in front of a letter means to multiply. Opposite of times by 32, therefore is to divide both sides of my equation by 32. On the left-hand side, I know 32 over 32 will cancel to leave us with single x, which is what I want. And on the right-hand side, I've got 80 divided by 32. I can simplify my fraction because I can see both the top and the bottom are divisible by 8. Well, 80 divided by 8 on the top gives us 10. And the bottom 32 divided by 8 gives us 4. And that 10 divided by 4 gives us 2.5. So x is equal to 2.5. Question 17. Heidi wants to make some biscuits using this recipe. So here's our recipe, and this recipe is for 12 biscuits. Heidi thinks that she has the following. Assuming that these weights are correct, work out the greatest number of biscuits that Heidi can make. You always divide what she has by what she needs for each ingredient separately. Starting with butter, well, she has 500 grams of butter and she needs 125 grams for each batch. So I'm going to do 500 divided by 125, which gives us 4. So she has enough butter to make 4 batches. Look at my flour. She has 700. So what she has, 700 divided by what she needs of flour, in this case, 200 for each batch. And 700 divided by 200 gives you 3.5. And finally, for sugar, she has 250 grams of sugar. And she needs 50 grams of sugar for each batch. And 250 divided by 50 gives you 5. So she has enough sugar to make 5 batches of the recipe. We now always select the smallest number, which in this case, the smallest number is 3.5 batches. Because she only has enough flour to make 3.5 batches. She has enough butter to make 4 batches, but she's going to run out of flour by that time. And she has enough sugar to make 5 batches, but she's going to run out of butter and flour by that time. So you always select the smallest number. As we want to work out the greatest number of biscuits that Heidi can make, well, we know she can make 3.5 batches. So therefore, it's going to be 3.5 multiplied by the number of biscuits in each batch, which in this case is 12. We're multiplying by a decimal. We could separate this as being the whole number multiplied by 12. So 3 times 12 gives us 36. And then we've got 0.5, a half, multiplied by 12. And 0.5 times 12, or half of 12 is simply 6. And we can simply add our two numbers together. So in this case, 36 add 6 gives you 42. Therefore, 3.5 times 12 gives you 42. So the greatest number of biscuits that Heidi can make is 42. Heidi is wrong. She has more than 250 grams of sugar. Does this affect the greatest number of biscuits that Heidi can make? Well, no, since flour is the critical value. She needs more flour to make more biscuits. Because remember, she must have enough butter, flour and sugar in order to make the biscuits. She already has enough sugar to make 5 batches. Having more sugar is not going to help because we know she only has enough flour to make 3.5 batches. Question 18. On the grid below, draw the graph of y equals 2x minus 2 for values of x from -2 to 3. When drawing a graph, our first step is to draw a table of values. We always have x on the top and y on the bottom. We know our values of x are from -2 to +3. So -2, starting with -2 and going up in ones, -1, 0, 1, 2, and 3. To find our corresponding values of y, all we're doing is substituting each value for x separately into our equation. Well, we know 2x in algebra means 2 multiplied by x. Here, if x is 3, well, 2 times 3, therefore give us 6, and 6 subtract 2 gives us 4. Now, if x is 2, therefore 2x in algebra means 2 times x. If x is 2, well, 2 times 2 is 4, and 4 subtract 2 will give us 2. When x is 1, 2x in algebra again means 2 times x. If x is 1, 2 times 1 is 2, and 2 take away 2 gives us 0. If x is 0, 2 times 0 is 0, and 0 subtract 2 will give us -2. If x is -1, 2 times -1 will give us -2, and -2 subtract another 2 will get us down to -4. And if x is -2, therefore 2 times -2 gives you -4, and -4 take away another 2 will get us -6. We're now going to plot each coordinate. Well, a coordinate is always given as x, y. We go along the corridor and up or down the stairs. So our first coordinate is 3, 4. So we go along +3 in our x direction and up +4 in our y direction and put a little dainty cross. Our next coordinate is 2, up 2. So along 2 in our positive x direction and up +2 and put a little dainty cross. Our next coordinate is 1, 0. So along +1 and up 0. Our next coordinate is 0, -2. So 0 in our x direction and then down -2. Our next coordinate is -1, -4. So -1 in the x direction and then down -4 in our y direction and put a little dainty cross. And then -2, -6, -2 in the x direction and then down -6. Finally, getting a ruler and sharp pencil, we're now going to join our points together. Question 19. Robin buys a watch for £80. He sells the watch for £56. Work out his percentage loss. Percentage loss is always the change divided by the original and then multiply by 100. In this case, the change is what he buys the watch for, in this case 80. Subtract what he sells the watch for, in this case 56. Well, 80 take away 56 gives us 24. So the change is 24. That goes on the top. We always divide by the original. Well, the original is what he buys the watch for originally, in this case 80. And then to get our percentage, we always then multiply by 100. Simplifying our fraction, well, we know 24 and 80, they're both divisible by 8. So I'm going to start by dividing top and bottom by 8. Well, 24 divided by 8 gives us 3. And 80 divided by 8 gives us 10. And I'm still multiplying by 100 to get our percentage. When calculating a fraction amount, I can simply divide by the bottom and times by the top. Well, 100 divided by 10 is 10. And 10 times 3 will give us 30. So therefore, his percentage loss is 30%. Question 28.